The screams in the jungle. The planet was hot, green, and dangerous. Huge trees reached for the sky. Thick vines curled around every trunk. Strange sounds echoed through the air, buzzing insects, distant roars, and rustling leaves. No human lived here, but one had come. His name was Jack. He was a scout, sent by Earth to explore this alien world. His job was to collect samples and map the area. He had a small backpack, a laser pistol, and a sharp mind. He didn't expect trouble, but trouble found him. That evening, as the red sun began to set, Jack heard something strange. A sound that didn't belong in the forest. It was a scream, not one but many, sharp, painful, and full of fear. Jack stopped walking. His heart began to race. These weren't animal sounds. These were cries for help. He looked toward the sound. It came from deep in the jungle, far from where his scanner told him to go. He could turn back. He could stay safe. But Jack was human, and humans don't run from screams. He tightened the strap on his backpack, drew his laser pistol, and stepped into the thick brush. Branches whipped at his face. Thorns scratched his arms, but he kept moving. The screams grew louder. He was getting close. Suddenly, the forest opened into a wide clearing. Jack hid behind a large rock and looked out. What he saw made his blood run cold. In the center of the clearing, a group of tribal aliens danced around a fire. They were tall, thin, and wore masks made of bones and feathers. Strange symbols were painted on their gray skin. They shouted and chanted in a language Jack didn't know, but that wasn't what shocked him. Tied above the fire, spinning slowly on a wooden spit, was a girl. Not human. She had glowing blue skin and long silver hair. Her eyes were wide with terror. She was clearly in pain. Her legs and arms were tied. The fire crackled below her. The heat was rising. They were roasting her alive. Jack's jaw clenched. He looked around. There were at least 15 of them, maybe more. They had spears, knives, and sharp teeth. Jack was just one man. He didn't know who she was, but he knew what was happening was wrong. He whispered to himself, "No one deserves this." Quietly, he crept closer. He stepped behind a tree, then a bush. Closer. Closer. One of the aliens turned and looked toward his hiding spot. Jack froze, then he stepped out into the open. "Stop!" he shouted. The aliens turned, shocked. He raised his laser pistol and fired into the sky. A bright bolt of blue light shot upward and exploded. A warning. The tribal aliens shouted in fear and confusion. Some ran. Others grabbed their weapons. Jack pointed the pistol at the biggest one. "Let her go." No one moved. The leader of the tribe stepped forward. He raised a long spear and pointed it at Jack. He shouted in his language. Jack didn't wait. He dashed forward, fired another warning shot, and ran toward the fire. The aliens jumped back in surprise. He reached the girl. She looked weak. Her eyes fluttered open. "Don't worry," Jack said. "I've got you." He cut the ropes with his knife. Her body was burned, but not too badly. She whimpered in pain. Jack lifted her into his arms. She was light, almost weightless. Then he turned and ran. The alien screamed in rage. Spears flew past him. One cut his arm. Another hit a tree. But Jack didn't stop. He ran into the jungle, dodging branches and jumping over roots. His legs burned. His heart pounded. He could hear them chasing him, shouting behind him. The girl gasped and whispered something in a strange language. Jack looked down. "It's okay," he said. "I'm not going to let them hurt you." He didn't know how far he ran. Maybe 5 minutes, maybe an hour. Finally, he reached a hidden cave behind a waterfall. He had seen it earlier on his scanner and marked it. He slipped behind the water and entered the cave. It was dark, but safe. He laid the girl down gently on the cool rock. She was breathing, but weak. He opened his medkit and began to treat her burns. Her skin shimmered in the soft light. She opened her eyes and looked at him. "You, human?" she asked in a soft voice. Jack smiled. "Yeah, I'm Jack." She blinked. Arlen, he nodded. Nice to meet you, Arlen. You're safe now. Outside, the jungle was still, but Jack knew this wasn't over. She glows in the dark. Jack sat beside the alien girl inside the dark cave. The fire outside was far now, but the danger was not over. His chest rose and fell fast. He still heard the tribal aliens shouting in the jungle, but for now, the cave kept them hidden. The girl was shaking. Her skin gave off a soft, glowing light, blue like moonlight. Her silver hair stuck to her face, wet with sweat. Jack had seen many alien species, but none like her. She tried to sit up, groaning in pain. Easy, Jack said, gently helping her. You're hurt. I was not supposed to land here, she whispered. Jack looked at her. Who are you? She touched her chest weakly. I'm Arlen, from the Lyari Union. I'm a scholar. I study ruins. Jack raised an eyebrow. A scholar? You mean, like a scientist? She nodded. I found old tech near their territory. I was scanning it when they, attacked me. Jack glanced toward the cave entrance. The tribe. He remembered their bone masks and how they danced like they were calling something. They wanted to burn you alive, he said, frowning. Why? Arlen's eyes widened. They think my kind are cursed. That our light brings the deep beast to their world. Jack leaned back. So they wanted to kill you before the creature came? She nodded again, slow and tired. They think my light wakes it. Jack looked at her glowing skin. It shimmered softly, even in the darkness. It was beautiful. And maybe deadly, he shook his head. Superstition, they don't understand science. A loud crack echoed in the distance. Jack froze. They're close, he whispered. We need to move soon. Arlen tried to stand but stumbled. Jack caught her. I can't run, she said, embarrassed. Jack thought quickly. Then we don't run. He reached into his pack and pulled out two things, a small flare and a bottle of scent blocker. He placed the flare deep inside the cave and lit it. It glowed bright red. Then he helped Arlen up and sprayed them both with the scent blocker, used to avoid predators. Hold on, he said, lifting her again. He exited the cave through a narrow crack on the side, one he found earlier while scanning the terrain. It led into thick jungle brush, hidden, safe. Behind them, the flare burned bright. Minutes later, they heard angry voices at the cave. They followed our trail, Jack whispered. But they'll think we're still inside. A loud shout. Then, the sound of spears clashing on stone. The tribe had found the flare, but Jack and Arlen were already far away. He walked slowly through the jungle, holding her close. She was light, but the terrain made it hard. They reached a shallow pond. Jack stopped to rest. You saved me, Arlen whispered. Jack didn't answer at first. He looked up at the night sky, purple and full of stars. I didn't know who you were, he said. But I couldn't watch them do that. She looked at him, surprised. Most aliens don't care about others. Why do you? Jack smiled sadly. Because I'm human. She blinked. What does that mean? Jack looked her in the eyes. It means we don't leave people behind. Suddenly, her body glowed brighter. Jack stepped back, thinking something was wrong, but Arlen's voice was calm. It's a reaction. When I feel trust. Jack raised an eyebrow. You glow when you trust someone? She nodded, shy. It's how my people evolved. We shine when we feel safe. Jack chuckled softly. Then I'll take that as a compliment. Just then a low rumble shook the ground. Jack froze. What was that? Arlen's eyes widened in fear. No. Another rumble. Louder this time. Trees shook, leaves fell. They did it, she said. They called the deep beast. Jack looked at her. You mean that's real? She nodded. It sleeps under the forest. They believe burning one of my kind wakes it. They were wrong. but now it's awake anyway. The ground cracked near the edge of the pond. Something massive moved beneath the earth. Jack stood and raised his pistol. "We need to get to the signal tower." "But it's far," Erilyn said, "and guarded by more tribes." Jack tightened his grip. "Then we fight, or we die." She looked up at him, her glow stronger now. For the first time in days, Erilyn believed she might live, because beside her stood a human, and humans never back down. The signal that shouldn't exist, night, covered the jungle like a heavy blanket. Stars blinked above, but they gave no comfort. Jack and Erilyn moved slowly through the dark forest, the glowing light from her skin guiding the way. They were still wet from the pond, still shaking from the quake. The earth had quieted. For now. Jack's map scanner beeped softly. The signal tower was still miles away, but something strange caught his eye. A signal. Faint. Flickering. "Wait," Jack said, stopping. "This isn't normal." Erilyn leaned in weakly. "What is it?" He held up his scanner. "There's a small signal nearby. It wasn't there before." She looked confused. "A human signal?" Jack nodded. "That's the thing. It's on human frequency. But no human base is supposed to be this close." They were both silent for a moment. "Could be a trap," Jack said. "Could also be our only chance." "I trust you," Erilyn whispered. Jack stared at the blinking dot. "Then we follow it." They pushed through thick undergrowth for half an hour. Jack kept his pistol ready, eyes scanning every shadow. The jungle was alive with strange noises, buzzing wings, clicking sounds, distant howls. But none were as terrifying as the silence that followed each ground tremor. Suddenly they reached a wall of vines covering a rocky hill. The scanner beeped again. Jack pulled out his knife and began cutting through the vines. Erilyn stayed close, her skin still glowing faintly. Behind the vines was a hidden steel door, rusted, old, half-buried. Jack stared. "What the hell?" Erilyn tilted her head. "This isn't tribal. It's human design." Jack tapped a code into the keypad. The door clicked. It opened. Inside was darkness, and the cold air of something forgotten. The room smelled like metal and dust. The floor was smooth. Old lights on the walls flickered weakly. Jack stepped inside, pistol raised. Erilyn followed, her glow lighting the way. They found a terminal with a cracked screen. Jack wiped off the dust and powered it on. Words appeared. Fuzzy, glitched, project, Dawn Warden, human outpost, Euro 9, status, abandoned. Erilyn leaned forward. "This was a base?" "Not just any base," Jack whispered. "This was from the first human landings. Over 80 years ago." The lights flickered brighter. Machines hummed to life. An old recording began to play, fuzzy audio, broken but clear enough. "If you're hearing this and this outpost failed, the tribes grew hostile. We couldn't hold them off. We buried the signal tower deep in the jungle, coordinates attached. If anyone finds this, run." Then silence. Jack's eyes widened. "Coordinates. That means the real signal tower is hidden. Not where command said it was." He opened the new map. It showed a shortcut, a direct path through the dead zone. Erilyn pointed to the marked area. "No one goes there. Even the tribes fear it." Jack nodded. "That's why they won't follow." Suddenly the lights flickered and died. Everything went dark. Then they heard it, a deep rumble, then a roar. The cave shook violently. Dust fell from the ceiling. Something massive moved outside. Jack grabbed Erilyn and pulled her toward the back exit. They burst out of the bunker into the jungle night. Trees bent. The ground split nearby. Something huge moved through the forest. The deep beast. Even the jungle animals had gone quiet. Erilyn gasped. "We woke it." Jack turned to her. "No. The tribes woke it. We're going to end it." "How?" Jack looked at the new map. "We head to the real tower. We send a warning to every human outpost. If this thing breaks loose, It won't. Stop on this planet, he took her hand. Can you walk? She nodded. I'll try. They ran through the darkness, guided only by the glow of her skin and the new path. Behind them, the jungle groaned. Through the land. No one returns. From the path was not a road. It was a warning. Dark trees leaned over it like claws. The ground was soft and rotten. The air smelled of old bones and something worse. Something that didn't belong. Even the wind avoided this place. Jack stared at the entrance to the dead zone. No one comes back from this area, Erilyn said quietly. Jack checked his pistol. Then we'll be the first. She said nothing, but her glow dimmed with fear. They stepped into the cursed jungle. Each step felt wrong. The ground squished under Jack's boots like flesh. Strange white plants grew on twisted trees. Eyes watched from the shadows. Not animals, not aliens. Just eyes. Floating. Blinking. Gone. Erilyn clung to Jack's arm. I feel them, she whispered. Who? She pointed to the trees. Spirits. Of those who never escaped. Jack looked around. He didn't believe in ghosts. But this place made him doubt. They moved slowly, following the old map from the bunker. The signal tower was close now, but still hidden. Then the mist rolled in. Thick. Heavy. Silent. They couldn't see more than a few feet ahead. Jack activated his heat scanner. It beeped once, then shut down. Dead. We're not alone, Erilyn whispered. Then they heard it. A low growl. Not from one place. From all around. Jack raised his pistol. Shapes moved in the fog. Big. Tall. Thin. Like walking bones wrapped in skin. The tribe? No. Worse. 3 figures stepped from the fog. They looked almost human, but not quite. Their skin was stretched, gray and cracked. Their eyes were white and glowing. They didn't blink. They didn't breathe. And they had no weapons. Because they were the weapons. Jack, Erilyn said, trembling. Those are the ones from the ruins. Guardians. They don't look friendly. They're not. They were built to protect the ancient tech, but they've gone mad. One of the Guardians opened its mouth. A dry screech filled the air. Jack fired. The laser hit it in the chest and did nothing. Oh, great, Jack muttered. He grabbed Erilyn's hand. Run! They ran through the mist. Branches slapped them. Roots grabbed at their feet. Behind them, the Guardians gave chase. Silent, fast, and without mercy. Jack saw a hill ahead. A strange glow came from the top. The tower, Erilyn gasped. They climbed fast, but Jack's legs burned. He was tired, bleeding from the shoulder. But he didn't stop. The Guardians were gaining. At the top, hidden behind thorny vines, stood the real signal tower. It was ancient and covered in moss, but it still stood tall. Erilyn rushed to the console. Cover me! Jack turned to the path. The first Guardian reached the hill and leapt. Jack rolled aside and fired again. The shot hit its head. This time the creature staggered back. Headshots work, he shouted. More came. Jack kept shooting, each blast more desperate. Erilyn's fingers flew across the controls. It needs power. I'm rerouting. Wait, what? This tower isn't just for signals, it's also a weapon. Jack grinned. Now you're talking. Erilyn found the right code. A loud hum shook the ground. Blue lights came to life around the tower base. Power restored, the console said in an old robotic voice. The Guardians climbed the hill. Too many. Erilyn activated the defense grid. A blue ring exploded outward from the tower, like lightning on the ground. The Guardians froze, then crumbled into dust. Silence. Only the hum of the tower remained. Jack dropped to one knee, breathing hard. Remind me never to doubt alien tech. Erilyn sat beside him, exhausted. I sent the signal. Your people will hear it. Jack looked at the jungle below. Then we wait. She looked at him. If we survive this, will you still leave? Jack didn't answer, because deep down, He wasn't sure anymore. The blood moon ritual, the tower was quiet. The jungle was not red. Moonlight fell over the trees like blood. It wasn't normal. The sky had turned dark red, and clouds spun like a storm was forming above. Jack and Erilyn sat in silence, watching the forest. "They're not finished," she whispered. Jack glanced at her. "Who?" "The tribe," she said. "This moon, it means something to them. They only burn during the blood moon." Jack frowned. "And we stopped their sacrifice." She nodded. "They will come, not just warriors, all of them." Jack stood, reloaded his pistol, and looked down the hill. Torches, dozens, no, hundreds. A whole army was coming. The jungle below glowed orange with firelight. The tribal aliens marched in silence. No drums, no chants, just footsteps, spears, and fire. They wore war paint now, black and red. Their masks were scarier, taller, wider. Some even had horns. At the front stood a giant alien wearing a crown of bones and a robe made from animal skins. He held a staff with a skull that glowed faintly. Erilyn gasped. "That's the High Flame Caller. He leads the blood rituals." Jack looked at her. "If he gets his hands on you again—" "He won't," she said sharply. "Not while you're here." Jack gave her a small smile, then got serious. "They won't stop unless we make them." He turned to the tower's console. "I thought this tower could send a signal, but it also has weapons, right?" Erilyn nodded. "It has energy shields, drones, old tech, forgotten tech." Jack's eyes narrowed. "Then let's give them a surprise." Erilyn activated the tower's inner systems. Dull thuds came from underground. Metal panels opened along the hillside. From them rose defense drones, rusted, dusty, but still armed. "System online," the console said. Jack aimed the drones toward the forest edge. "Now we wait." But they didn't wait long. The tribe reached the bottom of the hill. The High Flame Caller raised his staff. The skull glowed red. He spoke in his ancient language. A giant drumbeat sounded, from nowhere. The wind howled. Then came the scream. Not from a warrior. Not from a woman. It came from the earth. The beast was near. The tribe charged up the hill. Spears flew. Arrows rained. The first line of warriors ran fast, screaming. Jack gave the command. The drones opened fire. Lasers lit up the dark. Explosions echoed through the jungle. Tribal warriors fell, but more kept coming. Jack fired his own pistol, covering a weak spot in the defense. But the High Flame Caller kept walking. Calm, powerful, untouched. Erilyn was at the console trying to boost the shields. "He's coming straight for the tower," she shouted. Jack ran down the hill, sliding through the dirt. He fired at the chief, but a red energy shield blocked every shot. Jack cursed. "He's got tech too." The chief lifted his staff, and the ground split. Something massive was rising. The deep beast, twice as tall as the trees, covered in stone-like armor. Its eyes burned like fire. It roared, shaking the entire forest. Even the tribe stepped back. Jack stared up, shocked. "This is what they were trying to wake?" Erilyn shouted from above. "Jack, the tower's weapon has one shot left, but someone needs to mark the target manually." Jack looked back at the monster. He didn't hesitate. He pulled a beacon from his pack, clicked it on, and ran straight at the beast. The tribe screamed behind him. The chief turned, but too late. Jack jumped over rocks and fallen logs, dodging claws and broken spears. He stopped right beneath the beast's chest and threw the beacon onto it. It stuck and blinked red. "Now!" he shouted. Erilyn pressed the button. From the top of the tower, a bright blue beam shot into the sky, then dropped down like a blade. It struck the beast. Boom! The light exploded through its chest. Fire and ash flew in every direction. The beast roared one last time and fell. The ground shook as it collapsed, crushing part of the jungle. The tribe froze. Their god was dead. Jack stood up slowly, covered in dirt. barely breathing. The high flame caller stared in horror. Then he dropped his staff and ran. Erilyn rushed down the hill to Jack. "You're insane," she said, helping him up. "Yeah," he groaned. But it worked. Above them, the red clouds faded. The blood moon was gone, and peace returned to the jungle. For now. Beneath the ashes, it breathed again. Smoke still rose from the jungle floor. The deep beast lay broken, its body crushed under stone and steel, its fire eyes now dim. The tribe had scattered. The war drums were silent, even the birds refused to sing. Jack sat at the edge of the crater holding his arm. It was burned, bleeding. But he didn't care. The monster was down. The girl was safe, or so he thought. Erilyn stood quietly, looking at the ashes. Her glowing skin had dimmed like a fading lantern. "It should be over," Jack said. "We ended it." Erilyn didn't answer. Her eyes were locked on the beast's chest. Smoke drifted, then cleared, and she saw it. It rose, just barely. A slow movement. A breath. The beast's chest moved. "It's not dead," she whispered. Jack stood up fast. "What?" she pointed. "It's healing." The beast's broken body began to change. Cracks in its armor melted together. Its deep wound caused by the tower's weapon pulsed with strange light. Flesh grew back. Jack's face turned pale. "It's regenerating." The air turned cold. A distant hum began, coming from under the earth. Erilyn gasped. "It's drawing power from the planet itself." She reached for Jack's hand. "We need to leave, now." Jack pulled out his last flare. "We won't make it if we run." He looked at her. "You said this tower was more than just a signal station, right?" Erilyn's eyes widened. "Yes, there's something else, something hidden." They raced, back to the console. Inside the tower, Erilyn pulled open a second panel, old and sealed. She typed a forgotten code. A second system lit up. Project Final Dawn. Planetary core detonator. 1 use only. Jack's eyes narrowed. "It's a last resort weapon." Erilyn read the files quickly. "It was designed to destroy the planet if something unstoppable emerged. It melts the core." Jack backed away. "That would kill everything, including us." Erilyn nodded slowly. "But it would destroy the beast forever." They stared at each other. Then Jack looked at the crater. The beast was rising again. Wings, now stretched from its back. Its roar shook the tower. Jack took a deep breath. "How long would it take to charge?" 7 minutes. Jack nodded. "You'll leave in 6. Erilyn froze. "No. You have to. I'm not leaving you here." Jack smiled. "That thing, it'll never stop. Not until it burns every planet it touches. We both know it." She looked down. "But I trusted you." "You still can," he said. "You'll survive. You'll tell others. That's what you do, right? A scholar. A witness." Tears rolled down her glowing cheeks. She hugged him tightly. "I will never forget you, human." Jack held her for a moment. "Just remember to shine." He helped her into the escape pod hidden inside the tower, meant for emergencies. Only 1 seat. Enough fuel to leave the planet's orbit. As the countdown began, the beast roared louder. Its wings spread wide. Its eyes locked on the tower. Jack stood at the console, his hand hovering over the trigger. "Come on. Come closer." Outside, the beast flew up, circling the tower. The countdown hit 0010. Jack smiled. "You should have stayed buried." He pressed the final button. The core detonator activated. The ground cracked. Fire exploded from the soil. The sky turned white. From space, Erilyn's pod drifted upward, shaking from the blast, through the tiny window. She saw her world crack open. The planet screamed. Then, silence. Far above, Erilyn cried softly. Her glow filled the pod. She reached into her suit and pulled out a memory chip. Inside it, everything. Jack's voice, his actions, his last words. She whispered, he wasn't just human. He was hope. The galaxy will remember him, the stars outside. Erilyn's escape pod looked peaceful, quiet, cold, but inside her heart, a storm still burned. Jack was gone. The planet had vanished, turned into ash and memory. The deep beast, the tribes, the tower, all gone. But the man who gave his life to stop it lived on in her thoughts. She floated in orbit alone until a rescue beacon finally reached her. A human ship, UES Horizon, picked up her signal and pulled her in. When the doors opened, the crew was shocked to see her. She was injured, glowing faintly and clutching a memory chip. Captain Rhodes stood before her in the medbay. "You're Liari," he said. "What were you doing down there?" Erilyn looked up, voice soft. "I wasn't alone." She placed the chip in his hand. "Play this," she said. "The galaxy needs to see." 2 days later, the footage was shown to every human colony and every Liari outpost. A human named Jack, running toward a beast 10 times his size. A glowing girl begging him not to go. A message from the past. A choice made in fire. And the final, light of a world going dark. To save all others. The story spread faster than any news before. They called it the Fireborn Sacrifice. Human children whispered Jack's name in bedtime stories. Liari scholars recorded it in their star libraries. The tribal aliens who survived never danced near fire again. 1 month later, at the edge of neutral space, a memorial was built in orbit, a silver statue of a human holding hands with a glowing alien girl. On its base, carved in many languages, were simple words. One human. One choice. One galaxy saved. Erilyn stood alone at the memorial, now healed but still glowing brighter than before. She placed her hand on the statue. "You were never meant to be a hero," she whispered. "But you became one anyway." She turned to leave. But a group of children stood nearby watching her. One of them stepped forward. "A human boy, Miss." "Was he real?" the boy asked. Erilyn smiled gently. "Yes, and he was more real than anything you've ever known." "Will he come back?" "No," she said softly. "But his light is in all of us now. Every time you help someone, every time you protect what's right." "That's Jack." The boy nodded slowly, and her glow grew a little brighter. Later that night, as stars filled the sky again, Erilyn opened the last file Jack had left behind. A short message, his voice, a little tired, but still full of heart. "If you're hearing this, I'm probably gone, or I made it and I'm just being dramatic. Either way, thanks for listening. I don't know what happens next. But if this story helps someone else fight back when they're afraid, if it makes even one person stand up instead of run, then it was worth it. Tell them I didn't do it to be a hero. I did it because someone had to. And I was there. That's all." Jack. And that's how the galaxy remembered him. Not as a soldier, not as a legend, but as the human who heard a scream and ran toward it.